One, two, three, and the place to be. It's your player partners from the bottom of the map.
From the bottom of the map,
It's your dog Israel.
Ike Hayes.
And as always, make sure you jump in, tap in with us, hit that like, subscribe, share, jump in the comments, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell your big booty auntie now. It's them again. And all right, shit. You already know what went down. What's your thoughts, man? How you was feeling about the game?
Um, I think I was fine with it. I was disappointed because I was betting, and the best that I picked, which is UM at the half, didn't cover. The over didn't cover. Well, I'm not really mad at the over. Um, I felt like obviously it wasn't by mistake. They had a game plan. They wanted to run the ball. I do feel like they were very effective running the ball, but I don't feel like I feel like on an opponent like Florida State, they beat us 45-3, right? And they were up. They were at their 100%. So when we at our top of our game, it just seemed like, you know what I'm saying? Which I mean, it's 36-7 was 36-14. They had a garbage time touchdown, right? I don't even know if I'm gonna count that because they did that more so to build off of the next game. But yeah, I mean, I really felt like if they, their quarterback was getting rushed, you know what I'm saying? If Florida State actually had a decent passing game, not only would they not go 1-7, then that would have been even a more competitive game. I definitely felt like though, I ain't gonna lie, even in Florida State, I'm like, damn, y'all used to be able to stop the run. Y'all can't stop the run at all. They could not stop the run. And so I felt like you could tell like that was Mario's game plan. Like, look, because they've never had any game. They've wanted to run like that. And I can't say that UM is not developing a run no more because I'm like, damn, this is like the third game now where y'all have been running inching it more, and you've been wanting to have a power running game. It don't really. Their defense is their strongest point, so I don't want to act like Florida State don't have a defense, but I was impressed with the running game because I was like, damn, okay, I've watched their games. They haven't been getting ran on like that. They've been getting passed on like that, and they've only getting passed on like that because they be tired because the defense is out there. And I think it was no different. I think, you know what I'm saying, their offense is just non-existent. But I also felt like we could have really, I think it was conservative. And I think that at the heart, who Mario is, he's a conservative coach. He's a conservative O line coach, right? Like he's not gonna be aggressive like Kirby. He's not gonna be aggressive like any great coach. And so I think on that point, I don't know. Like for me, he just kind of showed me like why you'll be an elite recruiter, but you're not gonna be a great coach. And I think that I think people between the delusions and between like a real assessment, it seems like no matter what we're talking about, especially politics in college football, people are not gonna really say the real. They're gonna bite their tongue. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I mean this," but it's like, damn, bro, you had a chance to really get back, but you were conservative, and that game was actually way closer than it should have been going into halftime. I'm like, look, the shit really should have been 28, 20, 20, 24. It should have been double digits going into halftime. And I think that, you know, you can see Cam visibly frustrated. I don't know if you've seen that. Like he was low key, he was pissed off, you know what I'm saying, on the sideline because he's like, damn, why are we getting close, but then we're having to settle for field goals? I think if you look at it, Florida State, that was a win for them. Like, yeah, this was a score, but this was a win for them because they didn't get hit with no 40 points, no 50 points, which what they know they should have. And they really stopped a lot of drives to the point where we had to have field goals. And I just think Cam don't necessarily care about accolades, but I think like, okay, so damn, and it's a rivalry game, right? So anything I say, a person can, say, well, it was a rivalry game and but I'm like, if you look at their defense, though, I give their DBs props. And I was like, damn, that's how you cover somebody. Everything was covered. He really didn't have a lot of places to go with the ball, but it's also because we were pretty predictable with a lot of our offense. They knew we were going to run. They stopped the run. Their defensive coach felt good about the DBs. You know what I'm saying? But I also felt like they did not expect us. So it's kind of like a catch-22. It's a lot of things I like, but it's a lot of things I didn't like, and I just felt like they could have did both. I think that those DBs are a better test because I'm like, yeah, when you play these elite teams in the top 10, they're gonna have better DBs. They're gonna be covered. You're not gonna just be able to go everywhere. And so their line got in the backfield. They got in the backfield a lot more because their receivers were good on one-on-one. They ran a zone a little bit, but it's like no, those DBs are really really good, and they kept our receivers in check. And so I don't know. I felt like at the end of the day, it's a rivalry game. So I'm like, yeah, you should have had 300 yards passing. You tried to get a go at the end, but I also look at the play calling like, look, y'all had enough run to where y'all could have played action the hell out of certain things and they wouldn't have seen it coming. Or you could have shorted, you could have, you feel me, crossing patterns across the middle. But they were not, I give their defense props. They was not gonna give up no big plays. And I don't know as far as what our defense did. I mean, our defense did what I thought they was gonna do. I'm like, look, they don't have an offense. Y'all are gonna look better than what y'all are, but you're not because their offense sucks. But they didn't their offense also they're not maximizing it because I'm like that one. I just felt like, yo, y'all are not doing enough running to go with y'all passing. Y'all had certain people that were out, and then when something would work for them, they wouldn't go back to it. So I was like, okay, y'all coaching sucks on y'all. Like y'all gonna need to fire, what I'm saying, your offensive coordinator only because yes, you don't have anybody to throw, but you don't even have things that work. I remember it was the time when first of all, Florida State never had a lot of raw ass quarterbacks before Jameis Winston. They used to have a lot of Chris Ricks. They had a lot of, what I'm saying, it wasn't a whole bunch of Chris Winky, but Florida State would do a lot of screens and a lot of short passing. And I was like, listen, y'all quarterback could if we play a soft zone, we got holes all day. Y'all could have did that. But you know what I'm saying? Once again, like I said, they didn't. So I don't know. But I will say a lot of dudes was getting in the backfield and they still wasn't really getting to their quarterback like that because I'm like, look, y'all don't have tackle first on y'all minds. Y'all will get back there, but it's just like I don't know. And I wish I gotta check out Coach Hayes or shout out to him, but he'll show a lot of missed tackles and what it was. But there was a crucial play that Maggie Noah did where he left. They actually had, I think it was a running back or a receiver, and it was a crucial pass that he got at the last minute. I'll give him some props on that because he saved actually like just it was some points on the board. They either scored a touchdown or something else, and that was crucial. So I thought that was a good play. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the game, and then I'm gonna segue into something else after that. Um,
Okay.
the game itself didn't. To me, it was an ugly game. It was an ugly Miami game. They didn't play. I feel like Miami still hasn't had a statement game, right? I think the statement game might have been against Florida, but Florida's not that good of a team. So this is a time where like Miami is supposed to kind of be stating their claim as one of the top
Mm,
teams in the country, and what way else better to do it than to crush your rival? You know what I'm saying? If you look at the score, you'd be like, oh, that's a beatdown. But when you watch the game, it just didn't look like that. It didn't look like a beatdown against a team that quarterback, their quarterback play is abysmal. Like they got terrible quarterback play. We only got
mm,
3 sacks, only 3 sacks. Um, their quarterback was able to break contain numerous times. Um,
mm,
their quarterback actually had 71 yards rushing. He was their leading rusher. He got 6.5 yards of carry. And then he had that one where he just kept turning his legs. Of course, Miami don't wrap up. He breaks loose. He gets a long run. Um, and to me, I feel like this is. I keep telling people like we have to hold Miami to a higher standard, right? We're not West Virginia, we're not North Carolina, we're not Wisconsin, we're not one of these. We don't see ourselves as one of these middle teams. We see ourselves as one of the elite teams. So we elite. We got to hold ourselves to elite standards. When like your coach your coach gotta like put it instill into you like we're gonna basically play them as hard as we'll play anybody else. All right, we're not gonna, we look at the scores against Ball State, we look at the scores against FAMU, and a lot of times you tell your defense like we don't want them to score any points. They beat us 45-3. We go out there and it's just like they're still missing tackles. They have receivers running wide open all over the place, all over the place. They just didn't have a quarterback that can get it to them. But I did see something else, and like I said, I think the fans. They don't look at this. So they didn't have a bunch of yards receiving, but they had a 29-yard pass play and a 27-yard pass play. They probably could have, with a decent quarterback, that this is a more long plays that our defense is still giving up. Our defense should be locked in right now. We're one of the elite teams. One of the elite teams do what Alabama did, like to Missouri, what Georgia, like we gotta make a statement to say, hey, we're one of the best teams in the country. The teams that we're supposed to beat, we're gonna beat them, and we can beat them every way you think. Our defense is not gonna let them score. Our offensive line and defensive line is gonna control the line of scrimmage. Our quarterback play, like everything is just gonna be like marginally better. And it wasn't. Cam was
Mm.
off. Cam was missing passes. Um, I guess now we're back to not going to our tight ends. Like our tight end play is over. Arroyo had 2 receptions and that's it. So now we're like tight end play is over. Um, I just see it as it's a win. And if you look at the margin of victory, like okay, this is a good win, but it wasn't. This is a game where this team was supposed to hang 60 based off of like not even talent about what was being played on the field. Like their quarterback play is bad, like very bad. Like their quarterbacks, like this is like the worst quarterback situation in the country because they're a starter and their backup. But what you expect from like true freshmen is like just bad quarterback play. We should have been able to hold them to 0 to 3 points, and we should have been putting up 50 to 60. I mean, and
Agreed.
that looks like to me when I looked at what was on the field and how the game was being played. The game was being played like it seemed like we knew we was gonna win, but we were not playing that way. We're just playing like, we know we're gonna end up, pulling away because their offense is just that bad. I'm talking about, but you want to see a team where it dominates every facet of the game. Like I said, we gave up 4 sacks. Cam got sacked 4 times. We got 3 sacks. We still gave up some big plays. This is some shit where like they shouldn't have crossed the 50-yard line.
Agreed. Like how Oregon
Talking about like
dominates
they
people these
can't see
last
the
two
red
weeks.
zone. That's what I'm like. And I only say that to certain, to Miami fans in the sense of we got to hold our team all the way accountable, all the way. If we want to be elite, you think when Nick Saban was winning them games and the team looked sloppy, he was happy? He looked like nah, man. Like this isn't all he's gonna talk about is all the mistakes. Because if you want to be the elite team, you don't just rest your hat on the fact that you won and all the good shit. All you want to do is point out all the bad shit so you can fix it because we're gonna play at the end of the season, man. It's gonna be some elite teams we're gonna have to play, and we're not gonna be able to play like this. We gotta go out and like assert dominance. And if Joaquin said
Oh, we gonna play like this.
but that's what I'm saying.
But
Like, so for me, and like I say, shout out to South Coast Kane, shout out to Cuban, shout out to everybody that's on the post. They do their post game, and a lot of the fans are kind of just happy. We're 8-0, and anybody that says anything against it is like a hater. You're not a real Miami fan, and for the most part, I've listened to some other podcasts, and honestly, I really don't care about them. But what I care about is if we're gonna be an elite team, and we got this elite Miami standard that we gonna hold ourselves to, like, bro, we gotta stop fucking pussyfooting with our team. We gotta stop pussyfooting with our coaching staff. We gotta stop babying them. Like this baby shit, like, oh man, we're winning. Like our schedule is soft as fuck. We got one of the softest schedules, if not the softest schedule in the country, and we clapping up these wins like they say, act like you've been here before, act like you done won something before, act like you done did something before. This team,
that's
our
why it's the
fan base
younger
is like
fans that
going
that
crazy.
don't
Like
remember.
we beating these big times. No man, act like you've been. This is some shit where teams be like, man, this shit is business as usual. I don't even want to. I don't care. On to the next week. We're not celebrating beating 1-7 Florida State. Yeah, we supposed to beat their ass. We supposed to beat their ass worse. Well, ain't the shit to celebrate about that. But nah, we celebrating. Yeah, we beat Florida State. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, this team look good. This team still does not look like it's prepared. That's my thing. I want to see the team look prepared. The only time they look prepared, maybe because they had all off season, was against Florida. Outside of that, they don't look prepared. They look like a team that's ready. As soon as they get out there, they clicking everywhere. Our defensive line hitting. Our linebackers are covering. Our DBs, which was still getting beat all over the place, is ready to play. You know what I'm saying? Like it. I want to see the team
Mm-hmm.
in all facets of the game look like they ready, and then fucking act like you don't won before. But we not
Mm.
acting like that, and that's why I still. And I'm not gonna be one of those fans that don't hold them accountable. Fuck that. You want to be elite? We're gonna hold you accountable like you're supposed to be elite. Fuck all that. Cause like holding your hands is how you get beat by Duke, or how you get beat by somebody, or have a close game against Cal or other teams that you shouldn't have close games against. But check this out. If we've had multiple top five recruiting classes, we still got the best of Manny's players, and we've had top five transfer class. If we got all of this, by like by the paper, we should be beating the fuck out of everybody, and it shouldn't be close. We should be a top five team. We should, because it's just like we. If you said recruits, we got recruits. Whether you think the recruits are good or not, or they've been coached up or not, by the numbers, it said top five. Last year, it said top five. Transfer, it says top five. So what the fuck? Well, I'm supposed to be like, oh well, I'll accept top 25 play, top 50 play. Fuck that. Play like a top five team. Coach like a top, like you a top, like you got top five talent, and stop having these games where like y'all, you know what I'm saying? Y'all look fucking lost out there. And I don't, you know what I'm saying? I ain't mean to be long winded on this shit, but like I ain't gonna front.
Nah, bro, I agree.
The
I
fucking
actually gonna
fans
let
be
you play
fucking it
God
up.
Cap.
The fans be fucking it up because they don't want us to hold them accountable. Nah, they good, they good, and it's like nah, they are good, and holding them to the highest standard gets the best out of them. That's how you get the best out of them, by holding them to the highest standard, saying nah, that shit ain't good enough. Give me more, do better. Don't miss no tackles. Matter of fact, don't let Florida State cross the 50-yard line. Shit, I put, shit. Let's not let them score any points. We've had, what's the lowest point total we had this year? We don't let them get above that. Three. That's it.
They
Fuck
damn sure
garbage
did it to
time.
us.
Fuck garbage time touchdowns. Fuck that. No points.
You know they're not saying that on those sidelines. But the crazy part is when Florida State played us, they definitely was on that, right? That's why I say Florida State considers this a victory because when they played us, they beat us 45-3. But most of the younger fans haven't had a winning season where we looked good since 2003, and it only was the short-lived 2017 when we beat Notre Dame 40-8. So, a lot of the younger fans, they're willing to take anything. You know what I'm saying? Even
Nah, it
though
ain't the younger
we
fans.
know
It ain't the younger fans, man. It's these older fans, man. A lot of the older fans too.
that's a shame. That's a crying shame. Ain't no way that you accept this margin of victory. And I mean, that's why I was like, it's to the point where I was like, damn, man, I feel like if I come up here and tell the truth, it's going to sound like I'm complaining again. That's why I was like, man, let me point this out. Let me point this out. But, you know, all in all, and people are not gonna like this comparison. Oregon played like a number one team, right, for the past 2 weeks, right? They've been dominating. They went in there, shut Brett Berlima down. It wasn't close. Then they the week before that, they played Purdue. Purdue's not that good. Purdue didn't score no goddamn points. They scored 38, 35 points, and they looked dominant. And I couldn't help but thinking, like, damn, well, Mario was, and this is a school he was just at. And I'm like, yo, they had all these top recruiting classes. They never looked that dominant when he was there. And that's just the honest to God truth. They never did. They would get good, then they would lose to somebody who's not supposed to lose to time and time again. And you know what? I hate to be a super truth teller, but at the way that we're going, you remember when they got their ass whooped by Utah 36-9, then they came back out there and got their ass whooped again by Utah. Right now, when we go to, what I'm saying, those things, I don't think we're I don't well, I take that back too, because you see how Florida State limited a lot of our passes. Yo, if they shut down our offense, we don't got nothing. And I'm like, yo, we're setting ourselves up to where we're gonna go to the playoff and we're gonna get embarrassed. And then half of the fans like us, we're not gonna be surprised. The other half is gonna be, and it's gonna be like, look, man, when they talk shit about us, don't say nothing. Because at the end of the day, I think the real truth is you gotta hold the coaching to a higher standard. And it's like we got a guy who has never done something. So Danny Lanning, dog, he's only been there 3 years. They're already, what I'm saying, looking like they're number one, and they're playing like they're number one. You can't tell me since Mario has been here. Yeah, we done did all the recruiting. We ain't never looked like an elite team. This is our best chance right now, and we're not looking like it with the softest schedule. So then I asked the question: well, if this is a revolutionary potential offense, it's never gonna get. You're not gonna find another diamond like this, right? Like you may get some good things, but all in all, you don't have that type of coach. You don't have that type of defensive coordinator. So I just think at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. A person can't, it's hard for people to give you something that they never gave at all, ever. I can see if like you said, the Florida game is the only thing that we have to say, okay, you know what? You look dominant. But once again, Oregon had games like that. But then they look pedestrian. And I'm like, well, he's really just doing what he did at Oregon, which Oregon fans told us beforehand. You think Oregon fans ain't screaming that now? You think when we don't get our ass whooped? Because Oregon right now looks like they're going to go further than us. I don't see them. You know what I'm saying? Because we just saw Ohio State barely win against Nebraska. I know you've seen that. That shit, that took almost a late. And I'm like, okay. But to be fair about it, Ohio State looked neck and neck with Oregon. Like they could, you know what I'm saying? They damn near could have won that game. So I think our claim to fame is Florida. Now Florida is playing better, but if we don't see that team again this season, then it is what it is. Is showing us who they are.
I mean, and
Even like let's just say we got number one recruits the next three classes. It don't really matter. They're showing us who they are,
I'm
and
like,
they're fine with this standard.
at what point is holding them accountable? I listened to Clinton Porter was, I can't remember what podcast he was on, but he was just like they was fearful because he was just like, Frank Gore, and Frank was the back. He actually, Clinton said he wasn't a starter. I can't remember who was a starter at the time, but he was like, it was
Willis McGahee probably.
no McGahee was after, but it was somebody else. I can't remember if it was I don't know if it was Jared Payton. I can't remember who it was exactly, but he was like he wasn't starting. He ended up getting the start like after a couple games. Um, but he was just like it was Frank. It was Willis and Frank behind him. He was like he's scared to get off the field. He's like you had to produce because he knew if he got off the field, he might not see the field no more. Because one of them finna come in and they finna be going crazy out here. Like the competition pushed him to go harder and to be better because he knew he had two NFL caliber running backs behind him. And I'm even looking at our running game and our whole system. Everybody, like who's pushing them, who's giving them that push to where like when they play a team like Florida State, which is a bad team, they play a team like Cal who can't score. When they play these other teams and Duke coming up, like who's going to be, who's going to be the ones that's pushing to be like, all right, listen, this week we're not missing no tackles. This week we're not having no busted coverages. We're not doing any of that stuff because like how do you hold this team accountable? It's like your kid getting straight A's, but they bad as fucking school. It's like, can you really say something to them because they got straight A's, but you getting in the fights, you know what I'm saying? You cussing out a teacher, you bad as hell, but you got straight A's. And in a way, it's just like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna praise you for the straight A's, but I still gotta hold you accountable in this other area because you're not doing what you're supposed to do over here. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna praise the squad for being 8-0. I just need them
Who
on other fronts to be held
who
accountable.
who is that coach? During that time, Clinton Portis was talking about.
That was Butch. It was yeah,
Exactly. That
yeah.
was exactly my point. So at the end of the day, Butch hold players accountable. Butch get in your motherfucking face. Butch, cool, but I seen Butch looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Butch is an elite recruiter and an elite coach. And so I think that you're asking a lot, but it's like once again, it starts with Mario. Mario is not the individual, bro. He's never gonna be that person that you're describing. That he's an O line coach. He's an O line coach. He's never been this raw ass
Is he
coach. Once
really?
again,
Is he really an O line coach? Because our O line don't look dominant. Our O line.
nah, it don't look dominant. It don't look dominant. I think at the end of the day, and it's crazy because this is culture. Here's the thing about Mario. I think he's a very likable guy. I think off the field because, and I know that's what it is. He's a likable guy. You know what I'm saying? He's somebody that can really show you things. But if you take a look at that first job against FIU, it was an utter disaster. And really, a telltale sign is when a guy can't take a smaller program, right? Because at the end of the day, Hugh Freeze is garbage now, but they're giving Hugh Freeze another chance because you was at Liberty, and you know what I'm saying. Like you were high, you were here, and so Mario has what you're asking for. Mario has not done at any school. You're asking for something that he's never done. He didn't do it at FIU. He didn't do it at Oregon. You know what I'm saying? Or like I said, Oregon played well, but you're seeing what Danny Lanning is doing, right? You know, so I pay
Mhm.
attention a lot to Oregon, and I'm like, yo, those guys play smart. They don't miss tackles. They took Bo Nix. Like he's got competent coaching. That program is rocking and rolling, and that's why he didn't want to leave because he was like, nah, I've got a contender. Why go to Alabama when I can stay right here? I've got Nike. I've got the same resources, but I can win here. At the end of the day, Oregon is doing everything under Lanning that it can never do under Cristobal. And I think that if you're a fan of not just but you're a fan of football, you're a fan of a game, you can take a look at the parallels and say, hey, you had them here in 2 years. They were already better last year because they damn near went to the playoff, right? They're already better last year than what he was, and that was his second year. So you have to look at it like, look, this guy, but Danny Lanning is a defensive coordinator, a great defensive coordinator. He's won championships and he's recruited at a high level as well. So he can do all those things. Mario is not going to hold these players accountable, and it'll take 3 or 4 more up and down lost seasons for the rest of the people to figure that out. We have a cultural problem. We thought it's just about the players and getting a guy. Everybody from outside the program can say what they want. If you've grown up and you know our culture, then you know the only way for us to be successful in reality is to have that type of coach who is going to hold everybody accountable more than the recruiting. Because if you win, they will come. So you can use recruiting, and I think recruiting is important. But if you look at the way Cal put those points on us, if you had all 3 stars, right, you had your Sam Browns and all these players just here, that team right there is enough to win an ACC if it's well coached. But as far as that accountability you talking about, as far as that bloodless, you can even look at Mario and can tell as a coach that's not a part of his personality. He's not in there cutting heads off. And I don't even think he's going to hire an assistant coach that'll be that either. I think that, and we already said this at the beginning of the season. We done said this every single year. We are going to have to settle for mediocrity only because they're not going to fire him. He's not going to be fireable for another 2 or 3 years. So I just think that, you know what I'm saying? And so
See, people
the
gonna be
players,
mad. People gonna be mad. You calling him mediocre? They say how
nah,
you gonna be mediocre?
but I know, and they have a problem with that, right? Because they're looking at the players. But I'm like, I one thing about America is that people they love to be in their delusions. Why am I calling him a mediocre coach? Why? I'm calling him a mediocre coach because when you have top-notch resources and you have top-notch players, but you don't win the games that you're supposed to, right? Because you're 8-0 now, right? You're 8-0. Florida State was undefeated last year. What does that really matter if you don't really build a program, right?
That's true.
If you're at Miami, you know the history, you know what this is if you get competent, you know what I'm saying, players and competent coaching. But you were just at Oregon and you underachieved. Why do you underachieve? Because you had Justin Herbert. You had endless amount of resources. And every year there, you did not compete for any championships. You got close and then you would lose to teams that you're not supposed to lose for, and you would get embarrassed. And these are with top-notch resources. You watch another coach come, and in 3 years, like what can we say? Because none of those quarterbacks that they have is better than Justin Herbert. Dylan Gabriel is not. Bo Nix is definitely not. In 3 years, They're the number one team in the country, guaranteed to go to the playoff. Last year they almost went to the playoff. And they only lost to Washington by less than 3 points. So when they're having losses, it's not shell sack. Those are good losses against top ranked teams that are going on to the championship game. What I'm saying is that because he's gotten you in where Manny couldn't take it, where Al Golden couldn't take it, where Mark Richt couldn't take it, where we haven't seen it since Larry Coker, it's almost like we're just so happy and so starved. And if we do complain, then we're being ungrateful, we're being unrealistic, and we're saying, well, oh, okay, you guys could do this. When we're not even really asking, I think, everyone loves good recruits. I think we love Cam, but I think this podcast and certain podcasts and certain people who are realistic about the game of football are saying, hey, we really just want well-coached teams that can tackle, okay, teams that make smart decisions, teams that don't turn the ball over, and you give us fundamentals, the rest of those things will take care of themselves. But for you to have to lose to Middle Tennessee when you got here, which is like, well, why do you have to lose? Oh, you didn't have the right players. If you don't have to have, at the end of the day, just because you don't have the right players don't mean that you can't have them playing fundamental football. And that's all that we're screaming.
I'm
You got
sick
the
of
best
hearing that.
players now.
I'm sick of hearing that shit too. These aren't my guys. Like, fuck you
Your
mean?
guys don't
This
matter.
is still top caliber talent you have. Whether you the one that
Danny
handpicked them or
Lanning is out there winning with Mario's players last year.
not.
He went right out there and was winning with those same players. So we don't really want to hear that. We don't really want to hear that at all. Okay? And now you got the best players and you're 8-0 in a weak ACC conference. And it's like, "Oh, okay, we're in a weak conference. Florida was our only game." And like you said, you're happy about that? Nah, you're happy about that because you're your own delusion. So then next year, what are you gonna do? You're gonna say, well, he just went undefeated almost last year. Give him a chance at 4 and 5 losses. Like you said, last year we had a top five class. We were supposed to be better than what we were last year if we really keeping it G. Okay. Oh, okay. Tyler this, Tyler that. Listen, I'm sorry. Even with that, I'm like, yo, when you had Red, you had competent coaching, right? Red Lashley and them have one loss now. Whatever they were doing before, Red Lashley still don't have all the players. He's got a lot of them. He's hit the transfer portal, and he's used a lot of those same players that you saying weren't Mario's guys, right? And they're still able to go other places and play good, play hard. So it's not about that. And I think that the people who make those statements, if you notice, they don't get specific with their facts, right? They are not gonna look at tackling and say, hey, why is this guy not tackling? Is it because he's not our guy, or is it the coaching? Because it's a top five class. The people that make excuses don't exist in the world where they want to talk about fundamentals. And a lot of them didn't play football. The other half didn't, you know what I'm saying? They were at high schools. Maybe the team wasn't good. Maybe you went to Miami Sunset High School. I don't know. But if you went to Jackson, you went to South Ridge, you even went to Killian certain years, you know what I'm saying? Hell, you even went to Palmetto certain years, you know what I'm saying? You went to your Carroll Cities, your Northwesterns, your Centrals, your American Heritage. Yo, like, nah, these teams are well coached. And when they have down years, okay, yeah, our coaching change is made. You see who the coach at Northwestern is, right? Northwestern had a very bad year, you know what I'm saying, the last couple of years. Okay, yeah, they didn't got
And I got
Bridgewater in there. Why? Because they can't get blowed out like that because they got too much talent. They don't want to hear that. You know what I'm
That's,
saying?
that's
Come on
something
now.
else. That's something else we need to flex a little bit more because we don't flex as much because what people don't realize, like, we not just Hurricane fans. We from Miami. We from the crib. So we know high school football. We know the football that goes from high school to the college levels. Like, we know all the way from South Miami to North Miami and the Broward County. Like, we can talk about all the schools because we know plenty about, and we know the transfer of power. That shit happens every few years. It can go from down south and go to up north, whatever. But like the
Come
level of
on, man.
the level of talent, because we see the talent on in other schools all over the country. So I, it's not just we talking about coaching. Like, we ain't seen coaches. Like, we literally grew up in basically the hotbed of college, football that moves on to the college ranks. Similar to Texas or California or Georgia, especially like South Georgia, North Florida, Louisiana, certain places where like high school football is huge. South Florida, we already know Dade County. If you want talent, that's all you need to do. Go to any high school. You can go to any of them high schools down there, and you're gonna find talent, whether it's on a good team or a bad team. What separates what makes the huge difference because there's so much talent down there is the coaching. That's really what separates it. Now, tell me the difference between Southridge, Killian, Homestead, South Dade, Carroll City, Norland, Edison, Central. All them years, man. Basically, it's the same pool. Everybody down there is fast as fuck and can play football. You've been playing Pop Warner, Optimus football, so everybody can play football. Everybody's fast. What makes a difference is who you being coached up by. That's the only difference. And you start to see a lot of the teams they had like JoJo Trader and Jeremiah Smith on the same team. But you see one player at Ohio State looking like and JoJo Trader not getting on the field. That could be for a number of reasons, but a lot of these players are on the same team being coached up by the same people. So that's why it's a plenty of 5-star recruits. That's how you get like Buddy from Louisville that might not have been a 2-star recruit that looks very good, like their running back. So it's not just we talk about coaching in a manner of like, oh, we're just only bringing it. Like, nah, we've seen because South Florida football is so competitive. Like coaching makes the difference, and you ain't got good coaching. You can have a team like Carroll City that used to be dominant at a certain point in time that's been very bad for a long period of time. You can see a team like you said, like Northwestern has been bad. Now you got Teddy Bridgewater there. You'll see the change. You'll see what happens at NSC. You see what happened at St. Thomas Aquinas, Dr. Christ. All the teams we already know. Cause we see this shit, man. We done grew up in this shit. So we not just talking like, I feel like we ain't flexed that enough. Like, yo, we know not just, that we know South Florida football in general. And we know like how much recruiting matters, but how the coaching separates because the talent is all there. We see
I
it all.
mean, take a look at when we played Cal. The way that their defense played us, the way that their offense played, their offensive coordinators were out coaching our defensive coordinators, and ultimately their head coaches are out coaching Mario. That's why those games are close because we don't. Here's another fact: if we looked at the recruiting, the number, like what the recruiting number was of Virginia Tech compared to Miami, it's not even the same ballpark. Don't let me get on Cal. It's not in the same ballpark. So it's like the only way they're able to hang with you is they're out coaching you. That's it. And the ACC, you know what? I know that a lot of ACC people they don't like hearing the SEC is a better conference, but it is.
Of
The Big
course.
Ten, it is.
Of
And
course.
it just
I like
is what
it.
it is. And they also have a lot of great coaches over there, and they have similar talent. But when it gets down to it, we are getting out coached in the ACC. And we're going to have obviously, we have to win out our schedule. And I don't think it'll be impressive. You don't think we're going to have a shootout with Syracuse? We might have a shoot. We might have a shootout with Manny. Manny won the shoot. Red Lashley and them had to have a shootout with him. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, Manny really got Duke clicking. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then it's like we're gonna get out coached. And I think this is gonna be a good game for us because it's old coach versus new coach. If Duke keeps that game close, that was Manny's first job. This ain't Mario's first job. Mario had a similar job at FIU and failed. Had to jump on a staff somewhere else. And I have to say it's a failure because at the end of the day, they went outside. Oregon, they didn't want you to leave, but they were losing the big games, and now they're looking like they're so happy that you left. You think they would take you back right now? No, they would not. They would not trade places with us at all. We would trade places. You're delusional if you don't think I wouldn't want Danny Lanning to be at Miami right now. Because he's going to have us playing and he's going to be passionate. But I know he's a defensive coordinator. That defense is not going to look like that. And the offensive coordinator over there is great because they made Bo Nix great. They got Dylan Gabriel playing great. So we're going to be great. They're going to play discipline. They're going to play passionate. And we're not going to get outcoached. He just outcoached Ryan Day. So these are
Yeah.
facts. None of these, we ain't hit you with no opinions. Okay, we're getting out coached. Okay, it's not the talent. And I think once again, people that have a counter argument, oh, you're just a hater. You see how bland? Where's it's almost like people that cook without seasoning. Where's the seasoning? Where are your facts? I don't got none. Why? Because I'm eight, or let me just say I'm 8-0. I'm winning. Once again, People that say they were winning, y'all are probably like some of those delusional Florida State fans last year that were like, "Ah, it doesn't matter, we still should be here." Should you? Once you lost your quarterback, this is that team. And honestly, even though we never knew they were going to be that bad, me and you kind of felt like they wasn't going to be as good this year at
Mhm.
all. Because once we saw your quarterback play, I was like, no, you don't deserve to be here. We're looking like geniuses now, even though we got a couple of other people who like y'all ain't no. We knew enough to say that you hadn't developed your quarterbacks. Now, obviously, I feel different about Emory Williams because he was a true freshman, but he looked a lot better. He looked a hell of a lot better. That's the only reason why. You know what? I'm not gonna go in on Dawson. I think Dawson could be better, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Emory Williams is playing. I like the quarterback after that. But Mario, but I'm like, at the end of the day, we're only going to go, we are destined to go as high as our head coach. And our head coach has a very big ego. He thinks that he knows things that he doesn't know. And a lot of times in life, you surround yourself with people that are better than you, smarter than you. That's really what makes you great. Nick Saban had to get out of his ego and hire, okay, Lane Kiffin, hire Sark. And those were people that he didn't get along with, he didn't necessarily like, who had bad reputations. But he knew that they knew more about offense than him, and he just coached. Matter of fact, he didn't even coach all of the defense. He had Kirby Smart. He liked the DBs, and he did the overall game plan. Kirby Smart, great assistant. Lane Kiffin, come on, bro. And look at what those two coaches are doing now. Say what you will, but even in Ole Miss and they two losses this year, I can't say that. Nah, I mean, bro, they got a better defense. They got a better. We don't got none. So at the end of the day,
Hey,
it's like, look, man,
I got a question for you. I got a question for you because we like to do scenarios and shit all the time. Which is a better win, a more of a signature win? Georgia over Clemson or Miami over Florida?
Georgia over Clemson. Clemson scored 3 points.
Three
Three
points.
points.
Okay.
3 points. And
So
we see how good Clemson is now. Now I don't know what they are going to be because once again they still haven't played anybody. But at the end of the day, um, and don't get it twisted, I like that victory on us. Like I think that to me that should be our ceiling. We should because regardless, you know what I'm saying, they play in the SEC and that same Florida team played which they played Georgia this weekend. So we really gonna see what it
so,
is.
so
But they played
this is the question because I'm asking this because we say so Georgia they beat the shit out of Clemson at the beginning of the season, but we're saying this is a different Clemson team. So if Georgia and Clemson matched up now, it probably would be a tighter game. Georgia may still win, but it could be because Clemson is kind of, they found their identity and they're playing a lot better.
I disagree because they haven't played anybody of that caliber yet.
Okay,
Again,
all right.
because
So
who,
keep
who
it
have you
there.
played?
Keep it there. So, but they have gotten better though. So they don't look bad. They look like a good team.
They don't look bad,
No,
but
they beat the
they
teams they're
didn't.
supposed to beat, and they beat them the way they're supposed to beat them.
That's the only thing we can say
So,
is that
okay,
you're
based
beating
off
the
of
teams
that,
you're supposed to beat.
beating the teams that you're supposed to beat the way you're supposed to beat them. So it's not like they're
Yes.
scraping by. They're not getting last
No, they're
minute
not. They're
comebacks and all
definitely
that.
not. They're definitely not.
So they're beating the team they're supposed to beat. And
Yes.
Florida wasn't playing as good as they're playing now. Like Florida's playing a
They
lot
weren't.
better now. Um,
Yeah, they're playing a
so
lot better.
maybe if Miami matched up against with Florida, we still may win, but it may look like a different outcome.
Oh yeah, they're gonna use the freshmen a lot more. And if you saw during that game, they one of those scores was attributed to that freshman. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
And what I'm trying to juxtapose is like, how do we look at like the quality of wins? Because we say Clemson and they got beat down. I'm looking at because we automatically assume, and I'm not going to make that assumption that Miami and Clemson play each other. But if it goes the way that everybody wants it to go, Miami and Clemson play each other with neither one of them having but Clemson does play Pitt. I don't know if they play SMU. So we won't have even if we run through our schedule, there's no signature wins. None, zero. As of right now, I can't even call Florida a signature win because Florida is 4-3. So that's not a signature win. They haven't beaten anybody in the SEC of note. So that's not a signature win. And Clemson doesn't have any signature wins, but if they went out, they'll have Pitt. I don't think they play Syracuse. So it'll be two teams at the end of the season. It's like who's the team you gonna trust? because Miami won't have no signature wins because our schedule.
Mm-mm.
And to me, I think we could have signature win. This would have been a signature win if we'd have came out and beat them 55-3. That looks like a team that's like. But now, I don't know. Is it going to be against? Would you, if we go and blow out Duke, would you count that? Would you be confident then? If we go and blow out Georgia Tech, are you confident then? If we go and blow out Syracuse, are you confident then?
We're not, but the sad part is our defense is so leaky. You ain't gonna blow out nobody because you can't really you don't have that mentality. It's not that we don't have the capability. Our coach doesn't have that mentality. Even if he could do that, his mindset is play conservative, win the ball game because that's just what he wants to. So it's like he doesn't. He has, like I said, his ego is bigger than what his capabilities are and what the climate is. And if he loses, he's just going to give you something generic and just, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have a killer mentality when Miami is defined in the past by the killer mentality, and that would give us the signature win. I think if we do meet, I think we lose to Clemson, and I think that Miami fans, the delusional ones, will make all type of excuses. Even now, they'll be like, "Oh, Clemson, no, really? Clemson has defense." Once you think about why defense really wins championships, because if I can stop you from scoring and you don't have a defense, I'm gonna find a way to score. I'm gonna find a way to score, and our team is one dimensional. So once you stop us from scoring, there's nothing else to talk about. And I want to remind you, a very bad loss to Clemson, we don't need to be in the playoffs. And if they don't put us in there, what you gonna say? But if we win against Duke, Penn State loses next week, right? Somehow or another they'll find a way to lose because Ohio State and Penn State got to play each other, and those are the teams that are like ranked right above us. So there will be a top four team in the nation who is going to get into a shootout with Syracuse. Mag probably get a shootout with a lot more teams than that. Duke, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You know Duke's gonna score. Duke was scoring against SMU, and I probably like SMU's defense slightly. I mean, we have one of the sorriest defenses in the ACC. I mean, that's just and that's not saying much, right? The ACC isn't that good. So our defense, we talking about is really, really,
Oh,
really
there's
bad, right?
there's another thing. So, you know, listening to the South Coast, listening to their post game, there is this denial that our defense is not trash.
Oh,
So check this out, because if you look at the whole season, our defense isn't bad because you count the numbers against FAMU and Ball State
oh my
and South
God.
Florida. But I'm just like, okay, a defense that isn't trash doesn't give up 45 points to Louisville, 38 points to Cal, 34 points to Virginia Tech. These are your first of your ACC games. You give up 34, 38, 45, and 14 to Florida State. Your defense is trash. Your defense is
I
trash.
don't know. I don't know why. Here's the thing though. Everybody who's not a UM fan, let's just say you can like even when people casually like UM, right? Those are people that don't hate UM. They want to see the team good. They say that they don't unload because they like UM, but they're like, yeah, it's not good. Anybody who knows football know this defense isn't good. But why should we have to wait? Like, are we every college fans are delusional about their team. I get that. But I just feel like if you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just want to be realistic, why should you have to lie to yourself? Like why is it if we play Clemson and they beat us down something decent, and our defense is the problem, but our offense scores point? Like why should it take for that for you to know what we already know? We had Rutgers put 31 on us. Are y'all forgetting that? Rutgers put 30. So before Florida, when you said about these games right here, when we play Rutgers, they put 31 on us. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I just think that, they just like the delusion, man. They like the delusion.
I mean, I'm just I'm kind of like, you know, what's so wrong with holding this team accountable? Because of course you're gonna give them the praise. Everybody give them the praise. I mean, they're like the worst because they win and teams in front of them don't look good or they losing and they don't move up. Like it's crazy. They're like this is like the slackest 8-0 team I've ever seen. Like I'm just like, let's hold the team accountable. Let's hold the coaches accountable. Let's hold them to elite status
Nah,
accountability. Let's
accountable
hold
is a
the team
bad
to
word,
elite
bro.
status accountability. Let like
Nah.
outside of that, like be a fan, but don't be out here talking about like the Florida State game looked like a good game. Like if I wasn't a Miami fan, I would look at the game like, damn, this is just a sloppy ass game. It's just sloppy. It's just one team is just that much better than the other. Like even with sloppy play, they still were able to win because Florida State is just that bad. But it didn't look like a
Yeah.
dominant performance. It didn't look like a team that wanted to make a statement. It didn't look like a coach that wanted to make a statement. I think the statement that they did make was, "We're going to run the ball." I did. Okay, I seen that they did have Damian Martinez and Fletcher. They had 30 rushes between them. I said, "Okay, y'all running the ball," but it still doesn't look like in the fourth quarter where we're just supposed to be pushing them boys up and down the field. Like we're not doing that. Cam,
Nah.
I don't know, like Cam at a certain point in time, like if he's just not playing well, go to something different that puts us back in the best position. I'm just like this team he never looked prepared, dog. They never looked prepared. They never look comfortable to be like, okay, we can go play free because they always missing tackles. They always just like, damn,
Listen,
busted coverage.
them fans don't
Busted
care
coverage.
about,
I was like, man, if their quarterback could throw, um, Florida State would have been scoring on our ass.
bruh. Our fans, they're happy with as long as we get to the ACC title game, they'll be happy. They don't care about the playoffs. They say they do, but like you said, with their assessment, they don't care. They don't care about the Texases and the Georgias. Long as we get there and we get blowed out, we'll still be like, oh, at least we made it. They're talking about last year. They're not interested in those things. And that's cool. I am. I am, goddammit. But
Mhm.
that's y'all. So yeah, we got a difference of opinion on that. And that's just what it comes down to. And when it doesn't go like that because the defense is showing that, no doubt, what everything. Listen, we're gonna at the end of the day it may not be popular, but we gonna end up looking like we know what we know what we're talking about. The same way Oregon was trying to tell us, like, look, bro, this guy is a cool coach. He gonna do this, but he don't got no in-game coach and he don't got that standard, and that's just bottom line. So everything else is just really just confirming and showing that. But man, y'all hop in the comments. Y'all let us know. Next video, we'll go ahead on back to the other bets and the other dope games and let y'all know how that went.
Yeah, but like I say, jump in, tap in. Make sure you subscribe. Tell people to tap in with us. Until next time, man. It's your player partners from the bottom of the map.
From the bottom of the map.
We gone.